Hi, welcome to Whatever You Want, Jordana. Tonight I'm going to be talking about something that is really personal and close to my heart and something that I really want to share because I have firsthand experienced these things and I feel like it's my time to finally just sort of be public about my experiences in life, and whoever sees this, maybe it'll change how they feel or maybe educate them into how they treat others. So I will begin with the earliest memory of being bullied. I was in elementary school at a all Jewish people school. So everyone came from the same area, everyone believed in the same religion and had the same, moral upbringing and things like that. That did not stop people from bullying me and pushing me aside and leaving me out. So that hit a really strong note from a young age where I begged and begged my parents to pull me out of that school because I was so unhappy. So I remember feeling, depressed and anxious and just not feeling confident from a very young age. I was pulled out of my elementary school at the age of 11. I was in grade 5. So then I had gone to another school, private school, where my brother was. My brother was also pretty badly bullied. He was, small and short for his age and held back here as well. So not only was he being bullied, but I was also being made fun of, especially going into this new private school where we had come from. My brother and I had come from a more affluent area, a more like rich background, where the other kids, even though it was a private school, hadn't have the same background. So not only was I now trying to defend myself, but I found myself also defending my brother. I got pulled out of that school from my parents and then had gone back to another private Jewish school that was even worse. And then that was grade 7. So my first year of high school. Then after that, I went back I went to another, I think it was a semi-private school where I had known a lot of the kids in that school and had some friends. So I thought that was going to be really good for me. That year, there was a death in my family, and a lot changed. I found myself getting into wrong crowds. I found myself doing things I would not normally do, like I started smoking. Even in grade 7, I had my belly button pierced. And I always liked older guys, tried to get the attention of older guys, lied to my parents about who I was with, where I was sleeping, and things like that. So after the death in my family and things had really taken a change for the worse, I was then pulled out of that school and then sent back to the same school I was put in the second time. So the first, not Jewish school, but the first private school. In that year, in grade 9, I had gotten into a physical fight with a girl on my soccer team, where a teacher had been hit in the middle of the fight, got kicked out of that school, and then went to a public alternative. The public alternative school was probably a harder adjustment for me because I was like this Jewish kid coming from a rich area. My parents always had money, so we had Jaguars. We went to Florida a couple times a year. Like, we had expensive things. So coming from that and then going to a school in Verdun, and there's a lot of other kinds of kids out there who, are coming from broken homes or welfare and things like that. So I had to automatically have a strong personality to be able to, make friends and stand up for myself when I would be bullied. So because I was quite the target for girls to bully, I found myself getting into more than one physical fight in a year, where there would be fights at the metro and kids would be making all this up Oh, Jordana said this. Oh, Jordana did that. Oh, this girl wants to kick your ass. Oh, this girl wants to kick your ass. So I literally, in 1 year, got into 3 physical fights. The final fight was over a guy. The girl was twice my size. I was probably about 92 pounds when I was in grade 10. I'm more than that now. And uh, we were in a fight in the middle of the street, and we had all the students surrounding us, and people telling me, put rocks in your gloves, smack her in the face with the rocks, and I refused. I was like, if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight with my bare hands, and whatever will be, will be. I ended up knocking her down pretty bad somehow, and she had a pretty messed up face and a concussion. So, of course, the police got involved, and she had never taken me to court. I don't know why. I don't know how that happened, but I never ended up getting into legal trouble from that. So, of course, I got yanked out of that school faster than you can say tomorrow. My final school was another public alternative school. It was much smaller. We were probably about less than 20 students for grade 10 and 11. I started getting into heavy drug use in grade, I'll say grade 11. Marijuana, it's obviously a drug a lot of students use, so of course that is not what I would consider a heavy drug, but there was a lot of smoking cigarettes and marijuana around me, and beer, lots of liquor before grade 11. Grade 11, I meet a guy who I think is so cool and so cute, and he introduces me to cocaine. And then my life just spiraled out of control. So, of course, you have your girlfriends that you click to and hang out with. The school that I was at, there were like more boys than girls, so I actually ended up having friends from this other high school that this guy was going to. And apparently, there was even this picnic bench that had horrible things written about me on it. So even students from the younger and older grades knew who I was. There were rumors made up. There were stories being told about me since, grade 7. So it's really all about who you hang out with. Like my mom always used to say, you are who your friends are. So if you are hanging out with a girl who is sleeping around, and you're hanging out with a girl who is doing drugs, or a girl who is getting into trouble, well, you want to fit in, so you're going to do what she's doing, or you're going to at least be associated to those same actions, even if you're not doing those same things. So I had a really bad reputation. Bad. I was known as a whore. I was a slut. I was a boyfriend stealer. I was criticized for my nose because it's so big. So boys would make fun of me. I had no butt. I went from back to thighs, so I was criticized for that. But I was mainly called, hoe, slut, and whore. And, people used to call me Jordy. So growing up in high school and after that, like, nobody calls me that anymore. And it's kind of like the person of my past. So now people call me Jordana, and it makes me feel a lot better because I don't associate myself that much with my bad reputation. I started smoking at like 11 years old. I started doing drugs at 16. You do stupid things. So the girlfriends that I thought were my friends, we were always getting into trouble. We'd be stealing from stores. We'd be sleeping at our boyfriends' homes. We'd be doing all kinds of messed up things, which I guess is normal for any adolescent girl. Normal. So where were my parents the whole time? They were around. My mom was a workaholic. She was an extremely successful businesswoman, traveling all the time, working super hard. My dad was doing the same. He worked hard and enjoyed what he was doing. My sister was around. My aunts were around. My grandmother was around. I just don't know how I caught myself so far off of reality. So as I grew older, from 16 to about 20, those 4 years were a complete and utter, there's no word, I don't even remember. There was drug use, there was promiscuity, there was clubbing, there was working at clubs, there was drinking, there was, all kinds of things. So what am I at now? I'm 26 years old. I have not done drugs in 6 years. I never went to rehab. I was strong enough to get myself out of drugs because I knew it was going to ruin my life, so I had that personality trait that at least saved my own life. I ended up in the hospital once for attempted suicide. I was 21. A girlfriend of mine at the time got pregnant. I was having a baby. I was a counselor at a day camp. Things seemed to be fine, and I just lost it. I had a complete and utter breakdown. My second complete and utter breakdown was 2 years ago. I was a full-time university student and working part-time, living with my boyfriend, driving a car, paying my bills, getting financial support from my dad, and I had a complete meltdown to the point where I'm still paying for that meltdown today because I'm on medication daily. I'm 26. I want to get married soon. I'd love to have babies. I can't even consider starting a family before coming off of my medication. I suffer from depressive episodes and anxiety. So where did all of this come from? Well, let's see. When you are being bullied and when you have to defend yourself and stand up for yourself, and when you're pulled from school to school, and when you are faced with everyday challenges because of where you come from or what you look like, well, I didn't die. Wasn't successful enough in an attempted suicide. I survived it. And I'm really successful with myself today. I'm running a business for my boss. I'm managing a store. I am an extremely passionate person. I'm in love. I have 2 beautiful dogs. I have a beautiful man in my life. I have the great support of girlfriends and best friends and family. And for all those other people who hurt me, well, they are in my past. And even though you try to amend certain wounds from your past, sometimes people just will not change. So I don't wish anybody any wrong. I don't wish anybody any harm. I'm happy for everybody who has come as far as I have. And I just really wanted to share my story because I know that there are a lot of teens that are being bullied. And I was one of those people. And I can't even imagine being in a public situation at this point in my life and seeing someone being bullied and not standing up for them. I would freak out if I saw a child being cruel to somebody else. Like, I just could not handle that. And I really hope that this is something I will teach my children. And for people, if this does ever even get watched by hundreds or thousands of people, if I'm not lucky, if you've been bullied or if you are a bully, you have to also understand that the people who are doing the bullying, there's more wrong with them than there is with you. So just know that. And people who bully are just jealous and have real issues at home or personal. So I'm going to do a part 2 on depression. So I hope that this is going to help someone out there. And that's my story.